in Ross's refutation, well, Ross had a in the Meaning of Right part of his book, he has a refutation of relativism. He talks about how senses of right cannot be reducible to certain societies or groups of people or civilizations. You can't that there are not meanings of right, that you can't just have a whole sense of right that is reducible down to certain societies. You can't have that, and this makes me want to think about relativism and sort of talk about it and think through it a little bit. Relativism is the meta-ethical theory that says that morality, the right, and the good, and all this stuff are only properties that are relative to societies, populations, civilizations, groups of people, tribes, and different kinds of people, different nations, different all these different divisions of people, which or just different divisions of ideas, even that certain ideas of morality are relative to. Now, it can be thought that that there's a morality, there's a feeling in a certain tribe that you have to do something that's horrible, that you have to eat people or something. There have been tribes that have done that. There might be a tribe out there that feels like it's moral to eat people just because. That is definitely not a widespread. It's definitely not a widespread idea of morality. And then you have virtue ethics, and you have relational ethics, and you have consequentialism and deontology and all this stuff. And different forms of all these things are there's very specific forms of these things which are relative to certain groups, certain divisions of people, based on civilizations and groups. And I guess I don't really have a very good refutation of it, other than I want to look at the majority, because in any field of science or philosophy or anything like that, you're going to have a majority of beliefs. You're going to have a majority of belief, and then you're going to have some minorities that are who think outlandish different things. Now, I'm not saying that the majority thought, the thought of the majority is always correct, but what I'm saying here is that with deontology, the majority of people in the world look at moral acts and good and the right and all this stuff with deontologically ethical mind. They don't look at it with bettering themselves. They look at it with having constraints, duties, moral obligations, and oughts and all these different things, which are essentially deontological. And if you talk, and then Ross, even in this book, he was kind of discussing how if we did a large scale survey or a test of so many people to see what their idea of rightness is, then we might get a better idea, which would influence our ideas of morality. But that's just not possible to do. So I'm just talking from my own perception of moral minds and other people's perceptions of moral minds. Most moral minds conceive morality to involve constraints, duties, oughts, obligations, and all these things, which are deontological. These are deontological ideas, and from what I've seen, and from what many people that I know have seen. So I'm not just being close-minded. I'm talking about many other people who I've talked to have also seen the moral minds, the deontological moral minds that I've seen that I've seen. they've also seen the majority of moral minds being essentially deontological. And if there's a certain majority that is, if there's a certain major ethical theory which most people in the world prescribe to and live by, then I don't the whole argument for relativism doesn't work, because if you have throughout the world, you have people who have moral minds which are deontological, who are concerned about constraints, obligations, duties, and oughts. They're worried, they're concerned about, interactions with others and how they should interact with others and how they should, go about those things. They're concerned about that. They're not just going to, say me, and take. They're not going to. Most people are not like that. Most people concern others a lot, and I feel like, if we have a lot of people throughout the entire world who have this essentially deontological moral mind, then relativism, I don't think that it doesn't work. It doesn't work, because relativism, if ethics and morality was relative, then there would not be a general sense of deontology. There would not be a general sense of deontology in moral minds throughout the world. I mean, I'm not saying that there's moral minds of deontology everywhere. I'm saying that the majority of rational people live by deontology, even though they don't say that they do that. They just, but I'm saying that they do this because they're concerned about duties, oughts, constraints, and all these different things which concern other people than themselves. So this is my argument against relativism, but that's as far as I can get with that. But I feel like that's a pretty sufficient refutation. If you don't think so, please say so. But I really think that if we have this sort of majority of deontology, and again, I'm saying deontology because people are concerned about constraints, duties, acts, oughts, and obligations. That to me is deontology. Could be a little bit of virtue ethics, but I think virtue ethics has a little bit of a connection with deontology, which is to be discussed later. But that's my thoughts about that. Thank you.